I wanted to start this episode by saying thank you. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. Thank you for being part of the Maverick Makers podcast journey. I always welcome your feedback. I want to hear what you love, what you don't like, what kind of guests you want to see next. I really appreciate you. And this week, I'm thrilled to welcome Sarah Paul, Director of Interior Design at Hariri Pontarini. She is leading bespoke, institutional, cultural, healthcare, higher education, hospitality, multifamily, residential, and luxury private residential projects across North America for Hariri Pontarini. With a discerning eye for daring yet enduring design, Sarah collaborates with clients who value exceptional craftsmanship and timeless elegance. We talk about things like design and art and inspiration. I know that this episode will really get you excited. So if you're ready, let's go. Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of the Maverick Makers podcast. Today, we have the Director of Interior Design at Hariri Pontarini, Sarah Paul. I'm so thrilled to have her today. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, I'm excited to talk about design and inspiration and so many other great things because I love design. Who doesn't love design? So let's start with design. So who are your biggest inspirations?
I think that, throughout the interior design history, there's a lot of people to look at. But we could say Scarpa. Scarpa is someone that at Hariri Pontarini, we really look to Scarpa quite a bit for inspiration. And looking back is as important as looking at what the future trends are and looking at what's hot. Because what's hot, at HPA, we really want to create timeless interiors.
Amazing. I love it. And where do you find your inspiration? So you mentioned an actual, designer, but you're mentioning Pinterest and Instagram. Is that where you look for inspiration?
It comes in a few different ways. I think it's important to travel the world, to get out from in front of our computers and get out into buildings and spaces that designers have and architects have made. So one of my favorite places in the world is Venice. And in Venice, you'll see not only the old, but the new and the middle. And there's a small little retail shop that Scarpa had designed that I find inspiration from every time I go there. Then there's also, if you go during the times of the Venice Biennale, you can see different elements that architects and designers have created at different times in the buildings, a little vignette here or redesigning for an exhibition there. And also the actual Giardini has pavilions done by each country. So going on trips like that and also going to New York and just seeing what's new, what everyone's up to in the stores, in the trade stores, even going into some of the less expensive stores and just seeing what the trends are and what colors are in style, things like that. Instagram, definitely, it's an amazing way to find what designers are doing all over the world. Architectural Digest, Interior Design Magazine, World of Interiors has made a massive comeback. It's very different from what we do at HPA. For the most part, there's so many layers, and it's really a more traditional take on interiors, a more cluttered look. But there's a lot to learn from designers of all shapes and sizes.
Do you ever look at actual artists as inspiration? Like, would you look at a Picasso? Would you, one of my favorite places, it's not design per se, but it's art and it's still part of design because that's where it started, is I love MoMA. So like MoMA, the Art Gallery of Ontario, is that where you, or would you draw inspiration from there as well?
Definitely. My background I started as an artist. I went to Parsons School of Design for fine art. And then I did my master's degree in sculpture from Cranbrook Academy of Art in Detroit, well, just north of Detroit, Bloomfield Hills. So my passions really lay in integrating art and design together. So my career took me on this path where I started as an artist, then I progressed to an art advisor. So I was building collections for very wealthy individuals, going around the world shopping for art. And it was a very interesting time to be doing that because it was in the middle of a market crash of 2008. So in order to buy art at this level, you need to be allowed to buy the art, because where art is placed in the collection is placed and is extremely important. If you are a young mid-career artist, you want your work to go into a collection that has very blue chip artists so that it can raise your profile, and the people going through those collections, whether they be museum groups that are allowed to go in or whether it's just private individuals for a cocktail party, they need to be able to see your work. So that is having that as a background. Art has always been a huge inspiration to me creatively. And there's nowhere to find amazing color choices than through looking at paintings, whether we look at old master paintings or we're looking at contemporary art or Picasso. We will find interesting color combinations that artists have really worked on. And one of our founding partners, Siamak Hariri, his wife is an artist. And sometimes we actually have her help us to create a color if we're having trouble actually pinpointing the color we want. We'll have her make a few versions in her studio for us as a favor. So, yeah.
Love that. That's amazing. Can you tell us some of the artists or up and coming artists you have worked with in the past?
Well, the majority of my art advisory career was really working with blue chip artists. One of the first pieces I bought was a massive, I'd say it was maybe 3 meters wide, Sputnik-like chandelier from Josiah McElhaney that I got from the now closed Andrea Rosen Gallery. Andrea Rose was still very involved in the art world. She just went more the foundation route. But this piece is silver, it's sparkling, and it's reminiscent of the Sputnik chandeliers that we all know, but massive. And the interesting thing about it is that it's not just a beautiful thing to look at, but it's a representation of the Big Bang. And the length of the rods that come out and the type of lights that come out of the end are all actual instances that correlate with instances of the Big Bang. So conceptual art is a big passion for me. And a piece of art that's not just there to be beautiful. Beauty is wonderful, but it can't be the only note. So that's a piece that really continually inspires me. Another artist that I know we had at the AGO is Yayoi Kusama, who's an elderly woman who lives in a mental institution in Japan and paints all day. I don't think it's a typical mental institution situation, but she's in a facility of some sort, and she has assistants, and she makes paintings that are worth millions and millions of dollars that are of repetitive gesture. She also has collaborations with Louis Vuitton and many other fashion houses. And the ability to repeat a shape and form and keep doing it for that much of your life is intriguing to me. The idea of repetition. And there's something awe-inspiring about seeing this repetition over and over again in a piece.
What a story. I had no idea. I have to look her up. That's incredible. Amazing. Let's talk about the connection. You brought it up between design and fashion. So how do they work hand in hand, and how have you maybe brought fashion? I mean, you're very fashionable the way you dress, but how do you bring it into some of your design?
I think fashion is really apparent in texture and color. So what you see on the runways, sometimes it's light or bright colors, and it will influence us. I don't think we realize how much the color of a season influences us. And there is this famous scene in The Devil Wears Prada where she's being told that that is not just a blue sweater, and the history of that blue, and that was from season so and so. And so color is all around us. The textures, the silks, the mohairs, these things are coming into fashion, and your rug is now you can get a mohair rug. It's not cheap, but you can get a mohair rug. And we're also seeing elements of metal and jewelry being added into our rugs, being added into our fabrics. So the home doesn't only have to be just simple, minimal gray, as we're used to in Canada. Everybody doing a gray interior. I hope those days are over. But we can actually adorn our homes in a minimal and refined way where you can really see the care of the artisan. And I think the artisan is coming back. Cheap and cheerful has been great. IKEA has its place, but really we try at HPA to do as much design for the client as possible, where we actually design the sofa for the space, a chair that no one else may have that we designed for that home is really something that we get from a couturier. It's that kind of idea of a couture line of furniture.
I love it. We're doing things a little bit in reverse, but let's talk about your journey. You mentioned that you started at Parsons and, you did sculpture and whatnot, but take me, from there to, part of your journey and where you are today.
So after graduate school, I moved to Boston for my husband's career and did not have a work visa. So I was having a really hard time setting up my studio and making art. And I got a job offer in New York. So building a collection for an individual that was wanting to start from scratch. And so I did it. And I spent years building his art collection. And at the same time, my mother was my mother was an interior designer. And she was redesigning his home that she had designed in the 80s and doing a complete revamp. So we were really working in tandem to where I would want a painting and maybe a console was meant to go there in her plans. And she would say, okay, let's talk about this. I want this console, you want this painting. How do we work this out? And we really had this synergy of where we would help each other get the key things that they wanted and get each other's concept through. And so working together over time, I started doing more of the design with her. And by 2012 or so, I started taking over projects completely. And she stepped back. She retired in 2012. So I just kept going. And when there were art opportunities, I took those and mixed it together with the interiors. So I grew up in a household of, my father was a developer, my mother was an interior designer. So it really was, we were always building and we were always designing. And I didn't even think interior design would be a career for me. I didn't even know it was an option until my mom was like, oh, you've been surrounded. I'm like, yeah, well, here we go. And so then I worked as a designer in New York City and for my mother's company for many years, and then decided to get certified properly as an interior designer. And I went back to school at New York School of Interior Design, and also worked for a developer doing their condo buildings and cultural projects for them. And so that was a fabulous experience. And that, in unison with the schooling, is what led me to come back to Toronto to raise my daughter here. And then I ended up at HPA. And it's been a really fascinating experience because the breadth of the work is so extravagant and stunning. I'm very lucky to have led it here.
Beautiful. I love it. And let's talk about this award-winning firm, architecture firm, and some of the things that are happening right now. And I know there's rumblings of Miami, if we can talk about it.
Mm. Well, Toronto has been a really wonderful home for HBA, and the amount of buildings that uh, both CMAC and David, the founding partners, have been able to put their hands on is quite amazing. The company that they've been able to build over these past 30 years is really impressive. Not only is it vast, but it's also the elegance in which they've done it, and the precision is really admirable. In this next phase, as we approach the 30-year, I'm really excited for interior design. And I'm really excited for us to reach into different markets and to make HPA an international firm. We're very proud to be Canadian, and I think we can add proud to be in America, proud to be in Europe, proud to be in Asia to our roster. So, yeah, we're very excited about that. So Miami is a very dynamic place right now. I don't know if the news has hit all over, but Miami seems to be where it's at, despite the political situation. People are leaving New York, they're leaving California, and there's many reasons for why they're doing that. And Florida just seems to be a place where internationally people are landing. So buildings are being built, beautiful buildings are being built, but there are challenges. There's really challenges there in terms of quality and longevity, and the buildings are sinking that are brand new because of the limestone. So I think it's a really great opportunity to get in there with our expertise for a high level of craft and level up Miami. The new Miami is no longer just a vacation spot. It is a dynamic, bustling city full of very serious business people, ready to create tech hubs, ready to bring in cultural and institutional projects, hospitals, healthcare, research, and luxury goods have always been a big deal in Miami. So there really is a huge lack of diversity in the offerings. There's only a handful of architecture firms that handle these projects, and there's room. There's room for all of us to make a mark there.
Amazing. And what are some of the projects that Hariri Pontarini has worked on that you're really proud of, either past, present, future?
There's so many award-winning projects to be proud of at HVA. Some of the ones that I think really create the most awe in our teams there's a home in Muskoka that is on a lake, and it is multiple buildings, really stunning. I feel that the level of detail in that home and the comfort for the families that spend time there is really wonderful. It's built into a rock. It's very, very special. As for cultural, Tom Patterson Theater is one that is very moving, especially to CMAC, our founding partner. The furniture was designed by us. The space, it's a theater in the round, and the auxiliary spaces for entertaining are really wonderful. And the building as a whole just has a way that light carries through it that's extremely special. Also, our healthcare facilities are really important to us. Barlow MS Center is really a peaceful design and really counter to anything we think of when we think of a medical facility. It's really done with care and with the appearance of natural materials, really to make us feel like we're in a home rather than in a clinical environment.
Wow.
So there's so many. I could go on and on and on. We have a new one, actually, the James, which is opening at in Summerhill, in the Summerhill neighborhood, near the LCBO. We are the architect on that, but we're doing the interior design, and it's going to be absolutely fabulous with the amenity spaces. Amenities are really changing to be spa focused, and there's a great room. It's no longer a party room. It actually feels like an extension of your home.
Mm.
And the full concierge service in that neighborhood, it's going to be a fabulous luxury rental building. So we're really excited about that. That's coming online shortly.
Sounds amazing. So in terms of the breadth of work that Hariri Pontarini is doing, there's so many things. So maybe you can just, recap so many things that you're involved with and what kinds of things.
So my department, we do interiors for private homes, ultra luxury private homes, high-end rental buildings, high-end condos. We also go into the institutional universities, lots of university lobbies. We're doing a wellness building for TMU. We go into museums and hospitals and all of that. Now, outside of my my team, we do have another interior design director, and she focuses more on towers and multi-use buildings that have retail and condominium. And those are really impressive projects that really change the skyline of the city.
And the Well, I believe, is one of yours. Is that right?
The Well is one of Danielle's side. Yeah, so that's a really exciting project that's been getting a lot of attention for good reason. It's really beautiful. It's really exciting for Toronto to have a building like that.
It really is. It's amazing. Awesome. Are you ready for the lightning round?
Okay, let's go.
Here we go.
Don't be nervous.
No, there's nothing to be nervous about. Whatever comes to your mind, just let it out. So, coffee or tea?
Coffee.
Easy. Chocolate or vanilla?
Chocolate.
Good stuff. Dark or light? Oh, interesting. Okay, wasn't expecting that one. If you could live anywhere in the world, where would it be?
Capri.
Wow, beautiful. What artist would you bring back from the dead?
Louise Bourgeois.
Okay. What do you think your spirit animal is?
A cat.
I love it. Choice or chance?
Chance.
Okay. And what do you think your biggest superpower is?
Probably my ability to make people feel comfortable and understand their needs and create comfort for them in their spaces.
Beautiful. What's the biggest misconception about design?
That it's easy and that it shouldn't be paid for.
It's a good one. Okay. How do you want to change the world?
Through creating spaces that have intimacy and special moments in them with people that live in them.
Beautiful. I love it. Final question. What's next?
What's next is really diving into the new world that we have ahead of us in terms of luxury, wellness, a focus on really taking care of the people that live in the spaces.
I love it. Thank you so much, Sarah. It was such an insightful conversation. I can't wait to really see what's next with Hariri Pontarini and yourself and all the great things that you're doing and building and designing. Miami, here, anywhere, the world, Europe. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
The Maverick Makers podcast is sponsored by Maverick Makers Content Creation Collective. We fuel your content pipeline through video, photography, design, and editorial. Let's connect to your audiences and make more sales. Learn more at maverickmakersco.com.